So we all love going out on trips, whether it's overlanding or just road tripping or just going out camping. Trips are great. We all love that. Any other kind of outdoor adventure, it's a lot of fun. But how do you document your trips? We all document our trip in one form or another. So I'm going to kind of share how I document my stuff, my trips, my little adventures. And I would love to hear from y'all about if y'all, how do y'all document your adventures? How do you look back on them? Hi, everybody. I'm Rob, and this is Stormcore Overland. We talk about going on adventures, road tripping, camping, and just generally getting out and enjoying life. And I just kind of wanted to take a minute and talk about how I document my kind of my journey through how I document trips and other outdoor adventure stuff. Um, like most people, it started with just taking pictures with my phone. I mean, growing up as a kid, I loved taking pictures. I always had stupid little disposable cameras. I had a 110 film camera for a while. I never had like a good camera really. I had some cheap point and shoots here and there, but I always loved taking pictures, especially pictures outside. And I also found I like taking candid pictures of people. Almost nobody looks good in a posed picture. If you're one of those people, just so you know, the rest of the world hates you. Uh, those people just look goofy in posed pictures. But everybody looks good in the candid photo. Everybody, when they're enjoying the moment, they're smiling and laughing or whatever, everyone looks good then. You can be the ugliest guy in the world and you get you a good picture with a big smile or a big laugh, and you look happy and fun, and everybody likes to see that picture. You look great. Um, but yeah, so like I said, I would go out and do stuff, even as a kid, go out camping or something. I always have like a little disposable camera. And then as cell phones got better, I would you know start taking phone out and taking pictures with my phone. And I still remember my first digital camera I got. I still have some pictures I took with it. It was a crappy point and shoot 1.3 megapixel HP camera that I thought I was going to wear out. The fact that I didn't have to worry about buying film and paying for paying to get that film exposed just blew my mind. And I took so many pictures. And of course, with a 1.3 megapixel camera, the file sizes were tiny, so they took up no room on on actual like backup storage at home. So going on trips, that would kind of go there, and like I said, I would start taking pictures, and at some point, this is when I had an adventure bike for a while, and I was starting to kind of go on some trips with it, and I decided I really wanted a good camera. I had never had like an SLR or a digital SLR, like good, interchangeable lens kind of camera, and I wanted one. So I saved up, and I think for my birthday one year is what it was. I ended up buying myself pretty entry level Nikon DSLR. It's a D5300. Still have it. I've had it for about 10 years. Lives in this Pelican case with its lenses and stuff. I mean, it's definitely an entry level DSLR, but I don't think I'll ever be a good enough photographer to outshoot what it can do. This is never going to be what's holding me back. I'm holding it back, and it will probably always be that way. And I will probably keep this until it dies because it's not too big, but it's not too small. I like to be able to get good grip on it and be able to manipulate all the buttons and stuff. And I like the fact that I do like it's a little bigger. It feels like a big boy camera. If I'm taking pictures with just my phone, it's too easy to just snap and just take a picture and just not even think about it. If I'm taking the time to get a good camera out, I'm thinking about what lens am I going to use, what exposure, what focal length, what aperture setting. Do I need to get the tripod out? Do I need to set a timer? A lot more thought goes into the pictures I take with this. And realistically, if I took my time and slowed down, I could probably get just as good, if not better, pictures with my phone. But it's something about the mentality of this is different, this is more tactile, and if I'm going to take the time to own it and to carry it and to set it up and adjust all the settings, and I'm gonna make sure that picture is perfect, even if it is digital. I can just take another one if it doesn't come out. I put a lot more thought into the actual pictures I'm taking compared to the phone. Uh, with that, a couple years back, my grandfather passed away, and I got his old Olympus SLR 35 millimeter camera. And if I go out on a big trip, like when I did the Rimrocker trip, did the Rimrocker Trail last summer, I was out for about a week. Trip like that, I'm going to take this guy too. I usually will take the digital one too, but I'll take the film camera. And all those things I said about how the digital SLR makes me slow down and make sure my settings are right and really kind of try to make sure I get the perfect picture compared to the phone. That's even more so when it's going from taking DSLR stuff to the actual film stuff. It is, I've done so much digital stuff for so long, it is hard to remember that when I take a picture with this, I may not see that picture for weeks. I can't take it and like look and make sure it came out right. I have to, was the exposure right? Was it too dark? Was it too light? Did I bump the tripod? Were my hands shaking? It's so much, and it has nothing to do with the camera. I guarantee I can get just as good, if not better, pictures with the phone, like I said. But it's something about knowing that I can't see the result of that picture right away. That I'm going to do everything I can to get the best picture. I'm going to double and triple check all my settings. I'm going to think through how I'm composing the picture and how it's framed and everything else. And at the end of the day, it's almost silly. I mean, this is let's be honest, this is an antique. There's no reason to take something like this out. But it's neat to me because this is my grandfather's. He took pictures on his trips. And he took pictures of me with this when I was a baby. I mean, he took this camera everywhere. It's just something special about using something that's just kind of been passed down through the family like that. And to make it even more interesting, I'm sure some of y'all have heard me talk about it before. The Forerunner was originally my dad's, who also passed away a couple of years ago. So if I go out on a big overland trip and I'm using my dad's Forerunner to get to places, to take pictures with my grandfather's camera, it's almost like they're there with me in a way. And it's so much. I don't want to get all spiritual or anything. It's kind of weird. Hang on, guys. Sorry about that. My kid called. Had to take a phone call on my watch real quick. So weird. Um, like I said, it's. I don't want to use the word spiritual. I don't want to get all super deep on things like that. But just like I said, being able to have just even a piece of them with me like that, and think of the trips they went on that I heard stories about, or trips I went on with them. It's amazing. And the other thing I found really interesting with shooting 35 millimeter pictures in this day and age, in the modern day, it's hard to get film developed almost. Even like our local Walgreens, which is not where I would normally want to take film right now, but if I had asked one time when I was up there, if I bring film to them, it's so weird because they take my film, the actual film, mail it somewhere. That place develops the photos, prints the photos, scans the photos, and then emails a CD back to Walgreens, and Walgreens hands me the CD. Well, but then I don't have the negatives, and I don't. Negatives are stupid these days, but I like having them. It's something different, and it's just it's weird. So I use a local actual camera store to get film developed. And when I did that big Rimrocker Trail trip last summer, I had 2 rolls of film that I had shot, and I took up to the photo store, and I was so excited. I was like, here's my film, and filled out the little card to get them developed. And they're like, okay, we'll call you in about a week. And I was so excited. I got off work one day, and they had called, and they said, hey, your film's ready. And I go in there, and like I said, at this point, it'd been 3 or 4 weeks since I got back from the trip. Just because it took some while for me to get up there and drop it off, and take some time for them to develop it. It'd been weeks, and I could not wait because I couldn't even remember half the pictures I took. I was just so excited to see, could I take a decent photo with a 35 millimeter SLR where I've got to adjust all the settings and don't know how it's going to come out? Did I get anything awesome? Were these pictures just great? So I go in there, and they call me, and they're like, okay, film's ready. I go pick it up, and I walk out to my car. Pro tip, if you pick up pictures that just got developed from a place, maybe before you step out, flip through and make sure they're yours. Because what happened was I got to my car, sat down and opened these up, and they weren't my pictures. Uh, Almost embarrassingly, I had gotten a professional photographer had dropped film off where he had shot a bunch of very tastefully done and artistic nude photo shoots. Uh, those weren't my pictures, and I'm sure whoever the subject of those photos was didn't want me to have them, and I'm sure they didn't want pictures of rocks and rivers and stuff that I took. So I had to take the film back. I had to take the developed pictures back inside and be like, hey, these aren't mine, and wait a week or two for the other whoever got my photos to realize they weren't naked people. Bring those photos back, get them switched out. So it was probably 6 weeks before I finally got to see the pictures I took, and none of them were horrible, and some of them were. The majority of them were pretty good. I mean, nothing to write home about. But I think it was 2 rolls of film that were 36 exposures each, and I got maybe 5 or 6 pictures that are just amazing to me. They may not be amazing to anybody else, but to me, they are amazing photos. One's been the background on my phone since I got that picture back. I came home, scanned it, and that became my phone background just because it's an amazing picture. And a couple others I've got hung in my office. I got a couple more I want to hang up. And I forgot to mention, both of those rolls of film, I had purposely bought black and white film. I figured if I was going to do old school photos with an old school camera, why not try black and white and just see how different it would be. And there's some of the photos that probably would have been better if I had shot them with color film or shot them with the digital camera. But some of them, I think, came out. The ones that were amazing, they're amazing partially because they're in black and white. The contrast just looks different, and with film cameras, you want to do golden hour, and no, I'm sorry, with digital cameras, you kind of want to do golden hour and shoot like that first hour of the day or the last hour of the day when the sun's rising or sun's setting and stuff. A lot of times, black and white stuff comes out better when like sun's at high noon and you've got that heavy contrast and you've got really bright light, brights and darks, and you want that contrast. And so that's the really good photos. That's how they came out. So that's kind of where I'm at on cameras when it comes to documenting stuff. That's what I've been doing mostly in the past, kind of the last year or so. I've been kind of expanding a little bit. Something I started at Christmas last year. My daughter, and I've mentioned this in some of the videos, my daughter last Christmas gave me this really neat kind of leather-bound journal. I got it, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was like, well, this is really neat. I've always wanted something like this, but I'm not a real big like daily journaling person or anything like that. And I figured it was too nice and too big to like use just for notes. And finally it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, I'll make this like an adventure journal. Anytime I go on a trip or go camping or go do something cool, I'll write about it in here. And it's been really awesome. And it's something that I would have never even thought about had my daughter not given me this little book. And I highly encourage some of y'all to maybe get a little book and try this out, like a little moleskin notebook or something that kind of speaks to you and your kind of aesthetic. What would you think looks neat? But like I said, when I was on the Rimrocker Trail, it was nice to stop every night, and while it was fresh in my mind, I'd eat dinner and then kind of clean up, and then while I was kind of waiting to go to bed, there's not always a lot to do sometimes. It was nice to sit, have a drink, get the book out, and just kind of write out what happened that day. Where did I go? What did I see? What did I eat? Just things to remind myself. So 20 years down the road, if I'm telling somebody a story about, oh, I went here, I can pull this out and look at it and go, oh yeah, it was this, in 2022 I went here and I saw this and we went on this trail, and it's just a neat way, and it's fun to refresh yourself when you get home. You would think as soon as you get home, a day or two after you're on a big trip, you think you remember everything, but it's amazing how many little things start to kind of slip out of your mind. Even just kind of tell my wife and kid about the trip. I flipped the book. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I went. Or that was the day I saw a whole bunch of deer. Or That was the day a bear wandered through my campsite or something like that. Just like I said, it's a fun way to kind of be able to look back on stuff. Moving on from there, I was never much of a video person prior to the YouTube stuff. I never really thought I'd do a YouTube channel. I never like really filmed my trips or anything. I mean, I started initially to be as a podcast. Oh, my wife's home. Hang on, I'm gonna pause real quick. Sorry about that. Wife came home with groceries and had to go help unload groceries, put them up. What I was saying was just recently, within the last year or so, I've really started considering videoing more as a way to document my trips. So, like I said, it's a little new to me. I mean, I've done some videos on my phone and stuff like that. I'm recording this with my phone. It does a great job. But just to get more options, one of the things I got was this is kind of one of the knockoff GoPros. I'm not usually real big on knockoff stuff, but this was my way to sort of test the waters and see what I thought. It's in a Caso is the brand of the camera. I mean, but it's a little action camera. It's got a waterproof case. Came with a bunch of accessories. Shoots in 4K. Like I said, it's a knockoff GoPro. I haven't really used it a whole lot. I've mostly just kind of tested it out by putting on a little tripod and holding it out the window, or I've got it set up where I can. Do I have it right here? I've got a little rail on my dash with ram balls, and I've got a little ram ball mount for the camera, and so I can put it up on the dash and record as I'm going. It even came with this little remote with a Velcro strap that's got a record button and a picture button. And I've seriously considered having this sitting turned on up on the dash, not recording, but just and then taking that little remote and Velcroing it to the steering wheel. So if I'm driving and something interesting pops up, I can just real quick take a picture button and just grab a quick picture of whatever's going on, just as a way to try to catch something that I might not have time to actually pull the camera out, or if it's not something normally interesting enough that I want to record the whole thing and have to sit there and watch through all the footage and edit it if it's to see if it's even worth sharing with anybody. But so the other reason I got this was just so I could kind of set it up somewhere next to water. So if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. I can sit it up and drive right by it and get a cool shot of the tire, or drive kind of over it and get a shot of the car going. Try to get something just interesting shots, just something to play with really, just make things look a little more interesting. The last thing in the video category that I didn't really get for video, I actually got it for photography, and it's kind of changing my mind. Is a drone. This is the DJI Mini SE. This is I believe, the smallest, cheapest drone that DJI makes. I got this, like I said initially, to take pictures with. I wanted to be able to fly it and put it somewhere to take a picture where I couldn't be to take the picture. Some are like off the side of a cliff where I can't go set a tripod up to take a picture of me driving by, or to get a cool overhead shot of me doing a river crossing or something. They're neat pictures, even if it's nothing super technical. It looks neat. So that's kind of how I got started with it. Was, like I said, just taking pictures. I had a DJI Phantom 2 or 3 in the past that I kind of played with, and took pictures and video with it too, but didn't really have it long enough to get into it a whole lot. It was when the laws on where you could fly drones and whether you needed a license or not was still, the laws were changing a lot then, and I didn't feel like keeping up with it. And I had bought it secondhand, and the guy I bought it from, like a month later, really missed it and offered to basically buy it back for the same price. And I wasn't using it enough, and he seemed really excited about it, so I sold it back to him. But I've been having a lot of fun with this. I mean, obviously you can't fly it in certain areas. You gotta be careful about that, especially this one, with it being real little. You can't fly it if it's real windy, stuff like that. But I've had a lot of fun just getting pictures that I never could have gotten before, because there's no way to have gotten a camera to that spot. Or I've started getting some video with it. just different stuff. Just I'm still just playing around. I'm still learning how to really use it to get interesting stuff. One of my favorite things I did with it this last Halloween actually was I rigged up. I used a piece of white fabric and a little foam ball, uh, tied it to a string and tied it to this, and I basically made a little ghost that hung underneath it, and I was chasing the neighborhood kids up and down the street with it. And they knew it wasn't a ghost. They could see the drone. It's not very quiet. It's pretty. It's, you can tell it's there. But it was the kids got a huge kick out of getting chased around by the ghost from the drone. Just weird stuff to have fun with, because it's kind of the point of any of this is to go out and have fun. So whatever weird way you can find to have fun, go for it. Um, that's really the biggest part of this with the stuff that I use to document trips. One thing that I want to do, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it yet, but for when I get home from trips, because I like taking pictures and stuff, and I usually have some neat pictures that I want to kind of share and highlight. And what I want to do, and I haven't, like I said, I haven't quite figured this out. This is the map from the Rimrocker Trail. It's pretty big. It's not nearly as big as the New Mexico BDR map. That's probably twice this size. I'll never be able to do it with that one. But this one I might be able to pull it off. I kind of want to take this. I want to take the map, frame it, and then put some of my favorite pictures from the trip, close to where they are in the map. So I'm like, oh, that was, this water crossing is this picture, or here's a picture of my campsite where I camped right here, and have that up on the wall. I think that would look really neat. But like I said, I haven't quite worked that whole thing out, and I'm hoping to get to do the New Mexico BDR soon, and that's definitely not going to happen because that map is ginormous. I don't know how that'll work. Insert joke about folding maps here. There we go. So that's really, like I said, that's kind of the overview of how I document trips and a little bit of the why. The ironic part is there's been multiple times that I took some or all of this stuff out, and I was having so much fun that I didn't use any of it. Even just last month when I went and we did the OKC Rigs and Coffee, I took a lot of this stuff. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take pictures at the Rigs and Coffee meetup, and maybe shoot some video, maybe even fly the drone up a little bit. And I didn't do any of that. I was having too much fun. I think you all should go out and find ways to document your trips, whether it's to share with other people, to inspire other people, to show your family, or even if it's just for you to look back 5-10 years down the road and like, oh, this is the cool place I went, or look where look what I did here. I think you should go and document your trip somehow, but I don't think it should ever get in the way of enjoying the trip. Don't miss out on being in the moment to get a cool picture or something. You almost have to kind of decide ahead of time, like, well, how do I want to do this? Is this a trip where I'm gonna video and I'm gonna take pictures, or is this gonna be just for me? I'm gonna go have fun, and if I take a couple pictures, great, and if I don't, that's fine too. When I did the Rimrocker Trail, the way I kind of approached it in my head was I had a few specific kind of points of interest, like, okay, there's a cool water crossing at this point, and there's a cool rock formation here that I had seen in other people's videos or read about online, and I'm like, I know I want a picture of that. I want to get a picture of that. There's a handful of things that kind of checklist. Like, I want to get these things, but other than that, I just wanted to not worry about the rest of it. And if I saw something cool, I was inspired and I wanted to take a picture, cool, I had the stuff, but there was no pressure. I could just kind of be in the moment and go with the flow. And if, like I said, if there was something worth getting, I'd take it. But if not, yeah, I just knew those checklist kind of bucket list items that I wanted pictures of. Really kind of wraps up my thoughts on how I document trips, why I document the trips. I'd really be interested in hearing what are y'all's thoughts on the subject? Do you document every trip you go on? Do you always have the drone up? Do you always taking pictures and video? Are you somewhere in between? Are you one of those people who never does any of that? I know people that go out and they go amazing places and do cool things, and they either don't do any photos and videos, or if they do, they're just for them. They don't share them with anyone. That's just their thing, and they don't care if anyone else sees it, and that's fine too. You do you. You do your thing. Do what makes you happy. But I'm just really curious. I would love if y'all would leave a comment, send me a message. Either way, just let me know, what are y'all doing? How do y'all do it? You take all the stuff? Do you take next to nothing? Do you only use your phone? It's just interesting to see how different people approach this subject. Other than that, if you're watching this video on YouTube, we also release the audio as a podcast. You can find it wherever good podcasts are found. Just search for Stormcrow Overland. If you are listening to this as a podcast, we also record the video of it, and you can see pictures and B-roll of all the cool stuff I was talking about. You can find us on YouTube, Stormcrow Overland. Pretty easy. You can also find us on Instagram at Stormcrow Overland. It's kind of the same thing everywhere. Um, I would really appreciate it if you'd like, follow, subscribe, share, any of those kind of things, just to let me know. Let me know you're watching it. Let me know what you think. If you like what we're doing, like I said, maybe share it. Try to get some other people out there if you think they might enjoy the content as well. That's really all I have for you today. So remember, sometimes you really got to go out, get lost, maybe take some pictures to find yourself. Thanks for watching.